few more buttons to hit. So I need X started, Twitch, and now kick. Alright, let's get this show on the road. Welcome to the channel. I'm sure nobody's watching right now, but if you're watching this recording, welcome. Thanks for watching. Might as well start the beginning. Oh, shoot. Alright, let's make this official. One more thing. So. Don't listen. Alright, now we're back. Now it's official. Okay. I wanted to show off. You really can't see the setup unless you my Reddit post. But there's some things people may not understand, like how to start streaming. So I'll even go over that. And also how to connect Pro Tools to OBS. Some of the things I had to do in order to get this started. Then eventually we'll get into music. Maybe today, depends how long this takes. All right, first things first. If you want to start streaming, well, I might have to also explain how you need to have a decent PC. Just because you have a laptop, I mean, the laptop might work for like real low resolution, maybe low frame rate, but if you're definitely thinking about like gaming and streaming, or trying to capture a console and stream it, you kind of either need a really good gaming laptop or a really powerful tablet, like something with whatever, an Apple chip, whatever, M1, M2, or something. Even some of the Intels I think might work, but it has to be pretty capable to begin with, and it's still pretty basic. That's why I like building my PCs and put some together where you know it's going to work. All you got to do is meet the minimum system requirements for whatever software, whatever capture card, whatever it is you're trying to do. If you're trying to game and stream on the same PC, you have to keep that in mind. And that, streaming is going to take some of the resources, so your gaming is going to be affected, and vice versa. If you try to get the most out of your game, and you leave no resources for the stream, it's going to be a uphill battle. So that's why I like having a dual PC setup behind me, and why eventually this PC will get a better video card, and then be careful. I'm about to put my headset on now. Sure, I might get loud enough to get picked up twice. Not already. Just using my studio monitor for a moment just to kind of prove a point. Until I start hitting like the keys on the piano. Look at mine. I was trying to fish for it. I wasn't trying to. There we go. I'll reel it in. Didn't expect the cables to be that messed up. So I did part of this on purpose so I wouldn't leak out the cord by getting up. All right. Now I can hear myself and the piano, and maybe even the guitar, and the computer, whatever. And the mic won't pick it up. All right. And that other mic, I mean, probably not going to use it. It's a Razer Siren, an older version, not the Siren X. It's before that. Not a bad mic, but now it's on the floor. Anyway, talk about OBS. The first thing you have to do, well, first thing you have to do is go to the OBS page, Look up the system requirements for OBS and keep that in mind. If you're just going to stream on a PC, if you're going to game and stream and then start considering what does the game need, and then add more RAM, bigger video card, whatever, better processor, whatever you need. Anyway, so once you figured out what you need to build, or if your PC is already good enough, go to the OBS website, go to the download page, and download the latest version and install it. That's almost the gist of it. But first, that's Pro Tools. Desktop. Here we go. Now we're in Pro Tools. And to get started, you have to set up scenes, which are down here. These are the scenes down there. First thing you would have to do, hit the plus, and you don't see that window, do you? Even though I'm doing display capture. Oh, there it is. I was going to leave it. All right. And name it something. How about just call it test? Desktop. Yeah. Anyway. Get back. Oh, here we go. To where then you have the audio mixer. Now, you got to make sure after you're adding all your video sources, you add audio sources. And usually it'll be audio input capture, although in the case of trying to get the sound from Pro Tools into here, I had to go with audio output capture just to capture the actual piano, whereas the guitar and this mic could be picked up through a normal input capture when you're it's interesting. I'll get into that in a minute. We're just talking about OBS now. We'll talk about Pro Tools next, and Voicemeeter and all that. Anyway, we're just trying to get OBS to work, and I mean, pretty much everything I just described is most what you need to know just to get started. Other than coming up to the top, and you would go to where is it? Well, the first thing you would do, actually, before or after getting your scenes together. You go into the auto configuration wizard. Can't do that right now because I'm streaming, obviously. Kind of wish I was doing this on the laptop, but I need a capture card for that. Anyway, I do the, I could capture the capture card and put OBS on it and see if I could maybe stream with it, but doubt it. Whole point is just to have an extra screen right now. Anyway, I'm looking for the sign-in because I'm going here. I'm pretty sure it's just part of this deal. I move it down. Go to stream. Yeah, and here is where you would log in to. In this case, I have YouTube. YouTube is the main stream. And then on the side here with the ATEM multi-stream dock, the plugin here, I have all the other streams I'm doing. We'll get into plugins here in a second. The main thing is getting your main platform figured out. My other setup, I use Restream. It's pretty convenient. It does all the chat fairly well, but it costs money. Whereas the ATEM multi-stream plugin is free, although it's a donationware. So at some point you should give them some money. And I probably will too once I get it get it all working for sure. We'll see what happens. I need to do a real stream like today and set up those tests and see what happens. Speaking of which, my CPU isn't going too high. That's interesting. It's lower than usual. Makes me wonder, it's because I don't have Chrome open, or the other window for music, for sheet music later. That's a good sign. Doing all this. Oh, I'm not recording. Ah, damn. Sorry. I think I could just download the VOD later. Or start recording right now, just so I have something. For a full test. Let's start recording. So I've been streaming for 12 and a half minutes and just now started recording. So anyway, moving on. So with OBS, you got the scenes, you got the sources. With the audio mixer, you want to make sure you see it moving. Okay, my voice is coming in, obviously. It just says guitar. I at the time when I named it, I should have named it guitar and mic or something. I just thought it was just going to be the guitar, but then eventually, I realized, oh, it's all the same input. It is what it is. M audio would work if I hit the key. See you go green, and it's not muted. What is muted are things like the webcam. If you put your video input as webcam, is automatically going to add the webcam as an audio input. So a lot of people who are on Reddit, usually asking questions like, why am I echoing? It's probably because you don't have your webcam muted. So it's picking up your voice twice. So yeah, mute that, and most likely go ahead and mute desktop audio. There are times where you may be wanting to catch that. But the problem is, unless you've taken control of all the inputs and outputs, when you set something like the game audio to monitor and output, which is something I'll show you in a second. That's the thing. If you want to be able to hear one of your audio inputs, you would have to go down here to the bottom left, little gear icon, and you go up to one of these. Like in this case, I have only this one, monitor output, because there's nothing I need to monitor. Everything that I need to monitor, I'm already monitoring with the digital interface. But we'll get to that eventually. We're just talking about OBS. We're not talking about DAWs yet. But it's not even plugged in, so there's nothing here. Anyway, it says active. That's interesting. Anyway, but yeah, if I say the guitar, I don't want to do that by accident. Anyway, you just hit this button. You would select monitor output. I'm not, and then you would close it, and then you'll be able to hear the game. But when you do that, your desktop audio is going to be playing that sound again because you're monitoring it. So that's going to echo as well, which you can fix easily by making sure all your input outputs aren't just set to default for one. And that's a struggle because every time you do an update, not every time, but a lot of times when you get an OBS update or a Windows update or even a Discord update, all kinds of things can update and screw up your defaults. But anyway, that's another answer to a lot of different people's questions come on Reddit in their attempt to troubleshoot. They don't go over everything. They don't realize, oh, OBS changed it to default and Windows changed the default to something else, and that's why their audio wasn't working right. Anyway, so that's the most of it. You got the audio sources, scenes, backwards there. Logged in, you hit start streaming. In this case, I'm already streaming, so it says stop streaming. You go to hit recording as well. There is a way to make it to where they would both come on at the same time, but I keep it separate, which was kind of a problem because I did miss the first 12 minutes or so, but oh well. 'Tis life. So, alright, where am I? Oh yeah, now we're looking at all these docs. When you normally install OBS, you're not going to see all the stuff around me here. You can kind of ignore that up until now. So now when you want to install a plugin, you can either go through GitHub, get the source file, copy it, and paste it in proper folder, the plugin folder, and try to get it to work that way. Or you can just go to the site like for ATM or Stream Elements and just get the downloader file that you just, the program, app, you just open it and it'll install it. You open up OBS and there it is, a little bit easier that way. I just thought it was funny that when I was looking into it, I went to I think Google directed me to the OBS project webpage, and they were talking about it, about going to GitHub and all that. And I started that process, and then I was watching videos on YouTube about the steps, and they were showing it completely differently. No, I just go to the ATM.com or whatever the website is, and downloaded it, click begin installation, and there we go. So, anyway, it's for those who like getting hands-on. You can do it manually, or you can just have an installer do it for it. And then yeah, I installed the ATM Multistream plugin, and then I think I also installed their vertical layout thing. I just have it closed for now because I'm not using the vertical layout. It's just there just in case. And for multi-chat though, that's where I had to go with Streamlabs. I didn't see anything from ATM that provided that, so I did Streamlabs. And that was interesting because when you download Streamlabs or Stream Elements Live, SE Live, it also comes with its own multi-streamer thing, multi-streaming plugin, which I have set up just in case I wanted to use it, but for now I'm just going to stick with what I started with. And it's weird, like, now there's 3 YouTubes. I think one of these happens to be maybe vertical output, but I don't understand why it's already pre-set up. Anyway, there's now a 3rd one. I thought there was only 2. I'm assuming I'm streaming to YouTube right now. It didn't fail or say anything. And, oh yeah, let me go to that, the YouTube live control panel, and it says it's excellent. Excellent. All right. And I mean, I don't want to get into all the details of like how to, set this part up. It's mostly just, the initial setup would have set up my main output, main canvas, and then you would add outputs to each place. if I had a vertical canvas, I would add the output to whatever. Like if I had TikTok or Instagram, whatever, then I could do that, but I don't. Anyway, one of the weird thing is with Stream Elements, the filter doesn't have X. It has it down here when it comes to streaming and all that, but not the multi-chat. And I've been discussing it with the support page, or support people. I don't know. We'll resolve it. Maybe it's working. I just can't filter it out. I know it works on a restream, but I just didn't want to spend another $16.99 or so, or that's probably before tax, a month yet. Maybe I will if I can't get the chat completely working right. But I do like how this is working for a system that really should be using Restream, because that would actually use less resources. Because I don't have to encode it once, send it to one location, and that location sends it out everywhere. In this case, I'm doing it all myself. The good thing is every output's the same, so I really don't think it has to do too much more encoding. It's just copying and pasting it, more or less, which will still take resources, but still not too bad. We're looking at 51.8% CPU usage. I'm still surprised. Anyway, so we don't need the plugins, although some of them are nice, because besides, like in this case, since I'm doing multiple chats, there's multi-chat. Normally, there would be a YouTube chat to begin with. Like once you set up the mainstream, I just don't have that open because I have the multi-chat. This activity feed is a part of, I believe, Stream Elements. So to give me all my other alerts. If I ever get an alert, I'll see it. I don't know. Nothing's happened yet, obviously. All right. Now the next step. Now let's say you want to do something like I'm doing. Like or you just want to, at the very least, have Pro Tools or maybe some other music creation software, and you want it to be picked up in the stream. Maybe you created a beat, you want people to hear it, but it's just not going to work. Not normally. You can add, like I did here. I mean, you can add the window and see it, but what was I? But to hear it, that's a whole nother can of worms. I tried the normal way, grabbing the audio, input or whatnot, trying to do application audio capture beta, whatever. No, it's not going to work. What you have to do instead is install Voicemeeter. In this case, I installed Voicemeeter Banana. Probably don't have to do Banana. I could do the normal version, the starter version, the more simple version. But, oops, lost it. But just in case, I decided to do Banana, so if I have a few extra inputs, outputs, no problem. So, all right. You install Voicemeeter Banana, and you would set the output hardware out to the digital interface. In my case, it is a M-Audio Venom. So that'll do. What that'll do, all the sound that this captures will send it to the digital interface, which is what you need for in this case. The difference is once you get into Pro Tools, this way I'll be in that deal, so my face ain't covering anything. So you would first, of course, install Pro Tools. This is Pro Tools version, I think they label it 2024 10.2, or just 10.2, whatever. I thought by now we'll be on 11 or something, because I was on 10, whatever. the book I have here, in fact, you can't see that now. Let me go back to the top. The book I have here that I had gotten while I was in college, just says Pro Tools 10. And this was 6 years ago. And it's only 10.2. Oh, all right, so hopefully not much has changed from, my I wouldn't say my school days, because my school days ended several times. Like I graduated in '98 from high school, but I didn't go to college until 2014. And then I was taking classes up until 2019 because it took me 3 years. It didn't take 3 years, but I took 3 years to get a associate's degree, and then I tried to then consider getting a bachelor's, but it was going to take another 4 years total to get that done. So I decided to cut my losses and drop out. But I did learn about music creation and some other stuff anyway. And of course, Pro Tools. Anyway, part of music creation. Anyway, back to Pro Tools. All right. So you have Pro Tools installed, and you want to. Oh, I think I need to go to Pro Tools. then I can do what I'm trying to do. What I'm doing. All right. Yeah, I'm sure you can see the mouse move around. All right. So if you're familiar with Pro Tools or not, you have to go into Setup. You go into Playback Engine, and then in this case, you would select the Playback Engine as the Voicemeeter Virtual ASIO. The reason why you have to do this is because OBS cannot interface with ASIO. It doesn't have any of the drivers for that. Voicemeeter does. So that's why we're adding Voicemeeter. And this means with the Playback Engine, it's sending all the sound, or picking up all the sound, whatever. The Pro Tools is sending the sound to Voicemeeter. And the next important thing, it depends on your hardware. This is literally saying hardware buffer size. So mine is 512 samples. Yours is probably going to be a much better number, an actual smaller number. This is a older synthesizer, keyboard, whatever. So 512 is the best I can do. And that was something you have to keep in mind when you go into Voicemeeter. In fact, before I would have done that, now I think about it, I would have done it in here, where I would go into Menu, and I would go down to System Settings, and then here I would change, if it hadn't already, change all of these numbers to 512 in order to finally get it to sound right. It would kind of work if you didn't do it, but it would sound funky. But you get all the numbers correct, in my case 512, it'll work. This is why you can hear that. It's not perfect though. And there are times where there's a little bit of noise in the system, but that's just because mostly because this is a older PC. And an older interface. I hear a lot more noise than you do, luckily. I'm unluckily with it. Luckily you don't hear it, but I have to deal with it. And that's just the way it is. I get a new interface, but I'm just so happy I was able to get this keyboard, this synthesizer. The synthesizer first, then it's a keyboard once you get into Pro Tools. Otherwise, there's no way to make this kind of sound. Otherwise, it'd be like this. Also, get the piano too. That's doing both. Just hold the key down and it does all that. All right. Turn that off. Now it's back to being normal. There's a slight delay because 512 is not very fast, but at least it's better than it was when at one point I had to set one of the defaults 1024. Like it insisted on it. Like, all right, go ahead and try 1024. And there's a lot of delay. And then I changed it back to 512, and then it worked with some it worked, but not without some crying from it, whatever, where it just didn't want to work for a moment. Like I had everything 512, worked for a moment, and then I'll be hitting the keys, and it was just total mess. And I didn't change anything. I just kind of changed it and then changed it back, or just looked at it in the settings again, and it started working. But whatever. So every time you want to have Pro Tools open, you have to have Voicemeeter open. And in the case of my computer, or maybe just Pro Tools in general, you have to make sure you start Pro Tools first, then Voicemeeter, and then OBS. If you try doing Pro Tools second or last, whatever, you can't see that. I'm not on desktop. You go back to OBS. Here we go. There's that. Let's get back that over. All right. That way you can see what I was talking about. Anyway, doesn't matter. You can just minimize Voicemeeter, get out of the way. As long as you don't hit the X, it's still working. Just down here. I can pop back up if I have to. But yeah, I think that's about it. Changing the playback engine, make sure the sample rates are correct. The problem though, is that when you have it connected through Voicemeeter to OBS, I can't use the inputs to, like, say, send my guitar to instrument 1 or my other one. Any of the inputs into the keyboard or digital interface will not be picked up, because when you try to change the input, the only options are through Voicemeeter, and that doesn't help me. I need an input that comes from the keyboard, and if I could force it, it would just create feedback loop. Anyway, like it does sometimes when I hit one of these and hit a key, and it just creates a feedback loop. Like, oh, okay. I don't think any of these would work. Maybe I should try. Maybe that's what I'm missing, because I've looked into it and I can't seem to find a fix. But basically, all I have to do is I wouldn't be able to create music through the mic or the guitar while streaming. I could still use the piano, because obviously you can see the green on the screen, on the audio, right over here. I forgot the term. Basically, it's like an equalizer. Anyhow, back to OBS. I was probably covering that, wasn't I? Because I can't switch it and see it unless I was on Pro Tools. So let's do that again. And then I'll go to Pro Tools, and yeah, this here, you can tell that there is sound coming in to the piano, or to Pro Tools. And then Pro Tools is creating the piano sound with the the plugin that it has at the moment, the really basic one. It creates a piano sound. This is MIDI through USB. The difference between MIDI through USB and just regular MIDI is there's no MIDI cables. It's just a USB cable coming from the digital interface, or in this case the audio synthesizer, going into the PC, and that's how it's getting the MIDI input. And what does MIDI stand for? Good question, because it's not what you would assume, at least what I would assume. I'll make sure I get it right. MIDI meaning. No, I'm not looking for the dictionary for MIDI, which is sometimes confused with MIDI with a Y, which is a woman's calf length skirt, dress, or coat. That is not what I'm looking for. Thank you, Google. All right, now let's go to Wikipedia. So that means musical instrument digital interface. Oh, yeah. I probably would have thought of multiple instrument, whatever. Yeah, musical instrument digital interface. Pretty simple. can't believe I forgot that. But it's been a few years. It was a little over 5 years when I dropped out. You know, at least it was before the pandemic. And things have changed a lot at that school. It hadn't really been met. Anyway, what were we talking about again? Oh yeah, MIDI. What am I talking about again? I guess it's going over the basics. Oh yeah, I was talking about the cables and whatnot. All right, the input. And what this keyboard represents is a MIDI controller, so that it can take what I'm doing on the keyboard, translate it to another plugin where I can make it sound like anything I want. In fact, go into the drums thing. There we go. Find a key that actually works. Some of these, yeah, it doesn't do anything yet. Maybe I have to program something to that. Oh yeah, you can also see what key I'm pressing on. Oops, wrong mouse. Down here. And also I can hit that key. Do the same thing with the mouse. Usually. Not today, apparently. So I could, fuck around with that, hit the record button, and start, putting together a beat. Or I can do something else where you would punch it in. You would tell it what you wanted to do, and then it would, without MIDI, but that would be less, what's the word? Less real. Because there are things you can, like a human can do that a machine, well, AI can probably replicate it. But just like hitting this button, which is not doing anything, and creating music that way, just probably makes it seem more dry. And back to piano. All right. And I guess we'll go back to OBS because we were talking about setting up the input and output. So I'll make sure we got it right. So we got the Pro Tools is sending its output to Voicemeeter, and Voicemeeter is what's sending the sound to here. It's also picking up the input, the guitar and the mic that you can hear me on right now through the other audio input capture. Oh, that's the one thing that I was about to forget. When I was adding a source to capture, like I was saying, the mic and guitar, it had, instead of being input capture, it was output capture. And that's what I learned from the YouTube video I watched. And it, kind of makes sense. I just keep forgetting, like, how does audio output work compared to just having an input that's from the output? Like, okay, whatever. But it works. And I'm not adding that, but I'm just pointing it out. But that's where mine is. You of course hit create new, label it, whatever, and then choose, in this case, line 1/2, the input version, not the output version, and it picks up the mic and the guitar. All right. So that's that. Now for my particular setup, I had to also add a little more because I wanted to be where, well, okay. First there's the close-up, and of course then there's the intro you already saw. This is the scene that I've set up, the overlay scene, where it has pretty much everything. I've got the main cam, and then this camera here, which I just realized looks like it's gotten tired. Maybe it's right, because the whole point is to show off the guitar when I'm holding it, so I can actually see what I'm doing on the guitar on my own screen, which is pretty handy because it's almost like having an instructor in the room with you, although a different perspective. It is a different perspective, but someone else's perspective would be even better. But since I don't have someone else here, like an instructor here, at least I can see if my positioning is correct without having a mirror in front of me. Anyway, so there's one input, and then there's the Logitech, which is way over there. Let me using the boom arm mic. Boom arm for the mic, or not a mic. I'm using a mic boom arm for a webcam. And now you can bring it over the keyboard, and Bob's your uncle. You can see the keyboard. I'm always messing with this. I'm sure the camera moved a little because I didn't have so much space down here, but this is close. So you can see what I'm doing on the keyboard. So that's 3 webcam inputs. And this FX8350 is handling it all. Because for some reason, even though I have a GTX 770 for a video card, and it does have an encoder built in, OBS is like, no, you can't use it. I'm not even looking at it. And it's probably because it's beyond end of life, and the driver that NVIDIA, has you install it's just a driver that just barely keeps it going. It'll work for games probably, but it's not going to let me use the encoder. So it's all software based, which is fine at 720p at 60 hertz. Streaming a PC, this AMD FX8350 is able to handle not just 3 webcams and display capture and all that, but also streaming to 4 platforms. Yeah. Hope they're all working. Yeah, usually my mouse would be on a platform over here, but not right now. I might have to do that eventually. We'll see. We're just going over the basics, remember? I was only going to play the guitar, or practice the guitar rather. It is part of playing. It is practicing. If I get, like I said, got this done quick enough, it's already 3 a.m., but I just know I need to squeeze the frets a little bit, squeeze the strings against the frets a little bit. All right. And what else am I doing? Oh, yeah. Okay. Other inputs. So we have, the only thing missing is the other window capture that you won't see until I actually bring it up. So let me go into File Explorer. Go into my documents. Started on the same image that I had started on originally. Maybe it'll magically appear. Oh, my stream slowed down a little bit. Or maybe just the preview. Alright, now we're pushing the CPU. Now it's up to 70%. Just because I opened up a window. And I don't remember it being this wide. Oh, you can see it. It did appear. Alright. Let's actually go to an actual chord deal. I'm going to zoom in on it. Point is, I'm supposed to be able to see the OBS preview, and I can't. Interesting. That's why I do this stuff before I start streaming. Because I had it all cropped and everything. There. And then just cover up bottom right of my screen, and I can see everything else I need to see. Okay. That way, later, I could, show a chord. We're going to get as close as possible. So hopefully, if you're watching this on a phone, you can still read what it is that I'm looking at. So it's first string. First finger on the second string. Technically, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But first fret, second string, and then the ring finger, no, middle finger on the fourth string, second fret, and then the ring finger on the fifth string, third fret. We'll get into that in a minute. But hopefully y'all can see that fine. Of course, this is fine. And then, at one point I did have like Pro Tools set up for this corner, but then I decided to just remove that. The thing now, I guess, would be to get into position. As I was going to say earlier, I usually don't sit that close, unless, of course, I'm going to be addressing you. So I have to be far enough away where my knee's not hitting the keyboard. I'm going to have to point the chair towards the camera, more or less. And fight with the mic always. And that headphone cord. Got messed up the slack earlier. Now to get a hold of the 1/4-inch jack for the guitar. Oh, one more thing before I do that. I learned it's pretty important to have a footstool. Maybe not everybody needs it to play. You don't want to like consider it as a crutch, like you have to have one. But for the sake of learning and practicing, it's really helpful to have the platform. Because once you get everything in position right, even though you're not going to play classical music all the time, but for the sake of getting used to it, it's awesome. It helps a lot. One of the things I forgot to talk about is that I also, of course, have a mic. This is a PD, I don't know what the number is, but it's a pretty basic dynamic mic. The main difference between it and, say, a condenser mic, just like the two main types, is that the dynamic mic is just responding to your voice and sending just that raw data, or not raw data, raw input through, whereas a condenser is using electricity to amplify the sound immediately. So condenser mics are great if you want to be further away and still be picked up, but it's going to be picking up more of the room. Whereas dynamic mic, you have to be kind of close to it, like I try to be, in order for it to pick you up, which is good, because then a lot of the room noise isn't going to make it through. Otherwise, I would have to have like software installed as like a noise gate or some other suppressor or compressor, limiter. Now, this is a little more simpler. Unlike the streaming PC, the streaming/gaming PC setup, where I use NVIDIA Broadcast, so I can use a condenser mic, so that the mic is somewhat close to me, but it doesn't have to be all the way up in my mouth all the time, and doesn't pick up all the room noise. Alright. Normally I have this done before I would start streaming, with the battery and the acoustics, so now it's kind of like an electric guitar. Not quite. Doesn't have the electric pickups like electronic or electric guitar would have. It just has like a built-in mic. Ah. That was me touching myself with the jack cord. Now plug it in. Sorry for that. Now it's plugged in. It works. Oh, I was going to hold it first. The whole point is, can I see it in the shot right? I just show lights keyboard move. Come back out. And no. So the camera did point down. Why did you do that? How tight you, I thought. The whole point is to be able to see the whole fretboard and the bridge and everything else. So you can see my strumming and whatnot. This is pretty close to where I had it. Because what I'm trying to get used to is looking at the screen to see where my fingers are. And I can get that. I should have a pick in my hand. But I was just illustrating how I can, without looking at the guitar directly, I can see it on the screen. Which is why I want to replace this 27-inch monitor, which is nice. It's a nice, I would say white monitor, but it's, the screen's still black. But, the leg, the stand, the little bit of bezel in the bottom is white. But I might replace that with the 4K TV behind me once I get a 4K monitor, 43-inch monitor, because that's a 43-inch TV. I'm trying to keep it about the same, but more hertz. The gaming would be more fun. Anyway, in this case, OBS is kind of crowded, and it has me looking at it scaled to window, so it's 71% of what it could be. So if I'm looking at the preview for the sake of the chord chart, which I'm not because I have the window on top, you can't see that because I'm using the overlay, which is using normal inputs, not desktop capture. And I like this because I don't have to have light on the chord book itself by me scanning every page onto the computer and just accessing the files that way. So instead of having this book out on my little music stand that I have sitting on the desk, I can use this. In the future, I'll be using the laptop for that, but not until I get the PC upgraded so that it can actually work with the capture card. Although I could try some of those cheap ones to get off of Amazon and see if somehow maybe it would work. But seeing as I'm already pushing the CPU to near the limit. Where am I at? I'm at 64.9%. It's always jumping around. But yeah, eventually I'll have a capture card to capture the laptop. So then from there, I'd be controlling this other window. And it just gives me a little bit more flexibility. I can play music on the laptop that will then be picked up by the capture card, by the OBS, all that capture. Just I like having more options. Anyway, this is what I'll be doing in the beginning here. We will be talking about music theory as well. But the main thing is, not much where it needs to be, is trying to practice the guitar and the keyboard to a point, to an extent. I'm less worried about that right now than I am the guitar, because I really want the calluses on my fingers, which I don't know if piano players get calluses when they're touching the ivories, so probably not, but I definitely will be getting it playing the guitar, and it takes time. If I were to try to rush it, say play for hours every day, I mean, yeah, maybe I'll get calluses, but I'll also probably get blisters too. It'll probably grow too fast, and maybe I'll be cutting them off by accident. So I'm trying to not to overdo it. And found the pick. All right. The first thing I would do off stream, because I don't think y'all need to be suffering through this next part, but maybe you want to see how to tune a guitar. First step, get a tuner. You don't have to have a tuner. You could use one string of the guitar to tune all the rest to, but if that first string is off, well, then they're all going to be off. And they'll sound fine compared to each other, but you may be playing a song slightly in the wrong key for too long, to the point where you'll always be playing it wrong. You would think it sounded wrong when you have it tuned right. Anyway, so get a tuner. You can use your phone. There's tuner apps on your phone. This is a really cheap device to have. I mean, but the phone is fine too. The cool thing about this is set for guitars, and it'll know what string I'm trying to hit, and then tell me if it's sharp or flat. The flat light is lit up, and the little gauge needle is to the left, so it's letting me know it's flat, so I need to tighten the string. There we go. Get it to where it's pointing straight up, and it's mostly just the yellow light in the middle lit up. I swear there's always some variation of degree, whatever, there's always a degree of variation. It starts off tuned, and then as it goes on, it might sound sharp. Anyway, next string. Oh, look at that. It is also flat. Why? Because there's a temperature change most days. You know, the temperature in this room doesn't stay completely consistent. Oop, wrong string. Especially true for acoustics, because everything about this, the wood is going to expand or contract depending on if it's warm or cold, and the strings themselves will expand and contract. Or, yeah, contract. The second one. Yeah, already did that one. Third. Look at sixth, fifth, now fourth. Missed it. Well, you know, also a little flat. All right, now the third string. What do you know? That's also a little flat, man. Not as much as the other ones. There we go. I moved the nut, whatever thing you twist. I can't even think of the tuner, whatever, small increments at a time. First, I'll make sure you're turning it the right way. You just look at it slowly, realize it's sharp, it's staying sharp, I'm turning it. Maybe I should try it the other way. There. It is now in tune. Sorry. Every time I touch the desk, you're going to hear it. Because the way the boom arm is attached, and there is no shock absorber, no sound dampener, whatever, shock dampener, whatever, for this mic. So you're going to hear me when I, of course, you heard that earlier probably, move the keyboard, or even move the mic, or touch the desk at all. Anyway, point is, now the guitar's tuned, I could actually do some practicing. And I'm starting things out kind of simple, a little slow, because, I mean, I could be doing some scales and whatnot, but I'm still trying to figure out how to read. I know how to read scales on like a musical chart, whatever, but looking at the typical guitar tab or like this type of chart here, when they show a scale, they show so many different positions that I can't tell like which one is the first position, and how do you transition from first few notes to the next notes. Like I don't. We'll figure that together. But for now, we just go over chords. So at the very least, a player can do the backup rhythm, the accompaniment, where you just have to be playing the right chords, and you can strum it almost any way, and it'll probably sound okay. And we'll get to finger picking and whatnot later. And here we go. Like the same chord I played earlier. See, I'm trying to get used to the camera still. Like it looks right on the camera, and it sounds right. This chord is repeated a lot, so get used to it. Because normally, when I was going through these books, I would bring up the whole page. Just go from the first page all the way till, not the last page, I've never gotten that far. But as many pages, as many keys as possible, as many chords until I got, too tired, too late. We started with the C, now we would do the C major. Which is very simple. It's just like the other chord, but you lift your index finger. That's it. That's C major 7. The other one that I was, of course, playing was just regular C, which is technically a major chord, but it's just a chord. It is not a major 7th, which is 4 notes. Four notes. So the other one is just 3. Oops, I grabbed the wrong thing. Okay. All right. Yeah, I should grab the actual window. There we go. Oh, this is why I need to move the mouse. It's a stretch, literally. Since we're doing this, do this for real. Don't even need a mouse pad. Screw it. Mouse pad can stay where it is. Point is now I don't have to reach. Yay. And I have more mouse pads. I could always just keep it an extra one around or leave it on there all the time. All right. Now we can move on to a more difficult chord. This is one of my first ones that I hated. I thought, like, I could never do this. Or I knew it was going to be a challenge. It was going to take time, and I'm getting to the point where I can kind of play it. But this is I'm gonna be torturing your ears even more so than I am right now. Put it that way. All right. Just trying to make sure it is close enough without being too close. Now I need to pick. All right. Back into position. So get that finger holding now 2 strings, which was not even the hardest part. Hardest part is once after you get the 2 finger and the 3 finger in place. It is the pinky, getting that to reach here without the ring finger sliding towards it has always been an issue. But I think by having my thumb more perpendicular to the neck, instead of it being, flat or whatnot, it's actually just a fulcrum point. And also getting my elbow out and getting my wrist straight. You can probably see if the other window's not in the way. all that makes the difference, because you have to go over that fret completely. It's torture. And I'm trying to just hit each string. Let me look at it. Yeah, the ring finger is still sliding. Yeah, it's almost impossible. Hopefully it's on the fret enough. No, it's the index finger. That's the problem. Sometimes you just have to play with it. At least there are times where I would make sure the pinky and the ring fingers are in place, and I can at least do those two notes, but then the other, or two the strings, and the other three strings I could probably get at one time, but get them all together at the same time. All right now. Had I done another practice last night or something? It's a little tougher doing this live. Oh, by the way, I go by the name Mr. Live Ocean on the gaming streams and whatnot. That's also my gamer tag. But you can call me Randy or Randy Stark. That's why it's called Stark Naked Music, because my name is Randy Stark. And this is also taking music theory and music in general and making it stark naked. All right, moving on. Finally had to say that. And we'll just move on. Let's not spend too much time on one chord. Although there's some benefit to spending a lot of time on a chord. Just not right now. It's one of my favorite ones, though. Still, the index finger holding on two strings is a little weird. I still need more calluses, a little more grip strength. Let's see. Those last two strings sound right. The rest are okay. Mostly. Am I on it? I'm on it. All right. A lot of buzzing, but my fingers are still relatively soft. But at least, as I'm playing, is that even in tune? Can you see that? Yeah. You can see it creates an indentation that will eventually get tougher over time, and it won't indent as much. But not until the skin gets thicker, with the callus. That's what calluses are, thicker skin. So when someone tells you to grow a thicker skin, it's good advice. Put it that way. All right, so that's that chord. I mean, usually I'm just trying to make sure I can ring it out and move on. I know I could do that chord better, but next time. Now, D minor. Oh, we were going to talk about theory too a little bit. To say like what the notes are. Why is it minor? In the normal case with a D chord, D major or whatever, it would be D F sharp A. But for D minor, it's D F A. And in this case, you have the D in the bottom, so it's in root position, but the F is on top. But that doesn't really change the name of the chord. And the fifth is the second note, but that doesn't really affect the inversion as much as what is the bottom note, and it's the D. So it's fine. If you want to play an actual like D F A in a row, that'd be something completely different. And we're not doing that today. We'll just do what the book says. Oh, and the difference between a major and minor chord is the third is lowered. Okay, and then between minor and major scale, it's the third and the sixth that's lowered, in addition to the seventh, but only on the way down. Maybe I'm thinking of melodic minor. I need to refresh myself on that. But basically, it's the third and the sixth and the seventh lowered, basically. Well, talking to what does a third, a sixth, and a seventh mean? Well, it's a scale degree. You have 8 notes, technically 7 notes, but because the first note is doubled, there's an octave higher. But anyway, other than that, you go up the scale, one step at a time. Like with the key of C, starts on C. Wow. And then you would go up. Oh, I missed a note. Sorry. It sounded wrong, didn't it? See? All the way up to the C and then back down. C is easy because it doesn't use any of the black keys. Another chord that doesn't use any of the black keys is the key of A minor, because it is the relative minor to C, because it has the same key signature. They both have no flats, no sharps. You just, instead of starting on the C, you start on the A. That is a minor chord. Fascinating, right? Okay. Moving on. We haven't even played this chord yet. All right. More of that as time goes by. By using the camera, I can kind of see where I'm at, and I can kind of feel where I'm at. Let's see if I'm right. Nope. My fingers are over one string over. Now we're in the right place. And that sounds like a D minor. I like picking up the index and playing that. And what that is I'll have to figure this out, because it's just changing the F to an E. So still not a D minor chord. With the E in place, it could be, since E is the second degree, it could be a D with sustain 2. Unless there's some other factor that comes in play. And we'll go over that later. I just like the way that sounds. It just sounds like a Radiohead song. In fact, speaking of which, when I take the C chord and go to C major, and add that pinky, it's just, to me, it sounded like Radiohead's Bulletproof. I wish I was, whatever. And it's similar, not quite the same. It's just like a poor man's version, like a lazy person's version. You just want to have to move like one or two fingers a little bit. You can kind of make the argument, but I would still have to make some other changes to it anyway to make it sound even closer to the original. But I just like playing with that. Anyway. Yeah, because the actual version goes from a A7, which is very similar to a C major, into an A. No, I need to look at the tab again. Yeah, I think it goes A7 to C7. So the C major 7, whatever, is correct. But then it goes to I think a G, maybe a G6, and then a D sustain 2, which is like what I was saying earlier. With some like different differences. Like I think there's a first version on one of them. Anyway, once I actually get that music sheet, whatever, the tab again in another window, ready for the stream, we'll be working on that. But not right now, because I gotta start learning some songs. Anyway. I could play a D major, but we'll do more on that later, just to show the difference between D and D minor. And here's like one of the easiest chords. remember, hit all the strings. The easiest one is that one. It goes from E minor to E minor 7, which is another page. Here is a chord that can be troublesome, especially for newer people, because bar chords aren't exactly fun in the beginning, because you're having to hold, as that picture illustrates, of a guy who has like massive hands. He makes it look easy. Anyway, you have to hold all 6 of those down. But the good thing is your other fingers are holding 3 other ones down. So you don't have to put like equal pressure on all of them. You have to make sure the first one, the second one, and the last one are the ones that are definitely being held down by the index finger. And then the other fingers do the other notes. But still. Getting it set up right. At least it's taking me a minute, just because I'm trying to make sure those 3 fingers are in place before I add the bar. Wow, it came out. Partly because I am not using the fleshy the fleshy part of my fingers. I'm trying to roll my finger to where it's on the outside area, not this area, but this area. And it gets easier the further up the fretboard you go. So if you're having a hard time with F, that's fine. Just bring it down. You can try F sharp, or you can go. I guess probably it's a movable chord. I don't know if it goes exactly from F sharp, G sharp, A. Good. Then there's the B minor, which is similar fingering but slightly different. The other 3 fingers go, let's say, it gets down a string. We'll get to that. The next chord of this key is G, which I am a little more used to playing, but still it takes me a second. Pinky really needs more calluses, but it works. And that is it for that key. And I'll probably not go as far as I usually do, because I think eventually we'll be talking more about these keys. I might have to just do 1 key in a night. In this case, maybe I'll do 2 keys. All right, let's go ahead. Let's do A minor, which is not as hard as A. On the right strings. Not that E. That's E major. This was the A minor. I'm wrong again. Right. There we go. That's A minor. Not that string. This string. I didn't point out before. The X on top here, which probably looks like a little dot to you guys, means you don't hit that string. And the little O means, yeah, you hit that string, but it's an open string. And then, of course, the other ones don't have a similar buzz of it because you're already fingering those. Now look at this. Another bar chord, but at least it's further up the fret. And you can actually use 2 fingers on that one, necessary. On the right side, it shows a 5. Why does it show a 5? And that is because that bar is on the 5th fret. All the other ones, you have to assume it's the first 4 frets it's showing. But in this case, since it has the Roman numeral 5, letting you know the bar chord is here. You know that because if you look at the side of the guitar, there's little dots. And I don't know if you can see that very well. But then the first dot is the third fret. It doesn't mean it's a third higher from the, you say, the root position of the string, basically. And then here's the fifth. You usually go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You get up here, that is an octave higher from the original. So with those dots in mind, you can do a scale. Like, that's the only way I can do scales right now. Is just remember, okay, this is first degree, second degree, third, then fourth, seventh, and then we're right. Because you have to skip the third fret in order to get to the correct third of the scale. I'll make that make more sense later. Anyway. Oh yeah, I actually got to hit that scale chord. So fifth fret. Other two fingers are going down to the fourth and fifth string. And ring up. Set to adjust to make sure that first string was finally getting enough pressure. But I'm not squeezing really hard. It's mostly about leverage. It's about pulling back with this arm and then using this arm to pull back on this side of the guitar. So it's like you're kind of trying to break the guitar in half. Not so much me trying to manhandle it. All right. So A minor 7th. So it's like the A minor, but you're adding the 7th. So we'll go back to that first string, second string. Then we throw in that pinky. Get close to the fret. All right. Make sure those two stay lined up. All right. This is rough. Gotta get those calluses. A minor 7th always sounds weird when you throw in the 7th, the fourth scale there, the fourth note of the chord, which is a 7th. And there's dissonance because it's so close to the A. But it's good for music. It gives it flavor. Then the A minor 6. So instead of playing a 7th, playing a 6th. Still 4 notes, but instead of it being like a perfect chord where it's that's a 7th, the chord with the 7th. In this case, it's B. Throw a 6 in there. You're adding dissonance. So of course these chords sound weird. Not just because I suck. Just making sure the fingers don't hit the other strings. Not my best work, but I'm trying. It's all part of practicing. The more you do it, the more repetition, the better you'll get. Just give it time. Don't just give up because you've been doing it for a year. But if you're doing the same thing over a year, like maybe you need to add something. Yeah. Maybe get a teacher. Now E major versus minor. Because on E major is E, G sharp, B, and then minor. And once again, you lower the third, it's E, G, B. That's why it's just the two Wrong spot. Minor's sad. Major's a little more, feel good. I'm happy, even. And like before, the reason why I wanted to do this one is because it has the A minor and the E in the key. The A is, of course, the number 1. The Roman numeral 1, when you're looking at chord progression. Anyway, well, this will make more sense someday. And then the E, since it's A, C, E is the chord, it's the 5th. It is the dominant chord. Because the 5th is dominant. The 7th is subdominant, and 2 is 2. But there's an interesting relation between them. We'll get into that later. But it's a very common theme in music to go from the 1 to the 5, and maybe back to the 1, back to the 5, depending on the song. Usually it'd be some sort of progression where it's 1, 4, 5. So the 4th degree would be D, which is and on here. But you could, when you're playing guitar, go in the key of A minor, go from A minor to D to E. I think it'll be D. All I know is D minor. Let's look at that. That's D. It went too far. That's D flat. Okay, so it's still further on. Maybe that one, the last pages. Yeah, so there is an A and D minor, so there's most likely, I won't say most likely, but go back. Too far, not far enough. There we go. So most likely key A minor, there'll be hopefully another D, but I'll have to rethink that later. But it's not terrible for a song to just be for the guitar player we'll go from A minor to E. I mean, and then back to A minor. I keep hitting that last string. Even though I was hitting that one E string here, it's not terrible to hit the E string, even though it has it X'd out. It just makes it a different inversion. Because for a true A minor chord, you want the A in the bottom slot, so you wouldn't want to hit that string. But for flavor, you can. But anyway, next chord. Yeah, we already tried the other ones. I don't feel like going back to making a second attempt. E7. So here's the E major. E7. What's that thumb? So it's like a leading tone, like it wants to go back to E. Anyway. And then it shows this version and then a octave higher. Make sure you guys can see that. Can you see that? So we're on the 7th fret in this case, with the index finger on the 7th fret, 5th string. Find that second to last dot. The hard part for me is the covering of 3 strings with 1 finger there. And still get that pinky in there. Miss the 6th string. Playing out. just getting enough calluses make it to where that one, my ring finger can do this right. And I could do something with my second finger, but I don't know what. I can play it. I just proved it. Just took a second. Now an E9. So instead of the 7th, you're playing it at the 9. And for the voicing, you could have the 7th in there along with the 9, because it depends on which note you omit. You could omit the 3rd to put in the 9th. In this case, it's instead of being E, G sharp, B, D, F, make it a 9th, you drop the B to add the F sharp. Because a 9th is like the 7th. I mean, it's like the 2nd degree, because since the 9th, you go all the way through the whole scale, and then you're on the 2nd. But because it's 9 steps, it's still a 9. Anyway, even though it's a F sharp, it's like, well, that's the 2nd degree. But no, you've gone past the next E to get to F sharp. So that's why it's a 9th. Anyway. So first, second, third. That's there. That's going down the first string, and then there. Not bad. Nothing hard for that one. Yeah, sounds like dissonance because the 9th degree and the original E are still kind of close together, far apart, but sonically they're still close together. Or what's the word? And that is the end of that key. So yeah, for the last 3 months or so, maybe a little longer, that's what I've been doing. Except I was going as far as so I definitely like the key of G. There's a cool sequence, and you go from G, G major 7 to G6 to G sustained 4, back to G, which I'll do right now. I'm not scared. I'm just running out of time. It's getting late. At least I'm doing this. So you start off with the G. That pinky, right? G major 7th. And back to G. Almost. When it's played right, it almost sounds like a song, because it is. I don't know which songs they are. I know there's some religious songs, some popular pop music songs, whatever, that are played like that. And instead of looking at it as all being 1, 1, 1, 1 in the terms of scale degrees and whatnot, or chords, it's actually 1, 4, 5, 1. Why? Because of the voicing. Because if you look at a 4 chord of the key of G, which in this case would be C. No, there's no C in this here. Because it says instead of G being GBD, it's the G major 7, so you throw in the F sharp. And fourth scale, make sure this is right. GBD. Yeah, it's C. So That would be C, E, G. So why would the F sharp matter? I swear, when I plugged it on online, it was told me it was a 1-4-5-1 pattern because of the voicing. But now I have to look at it again to figure out, like, oh, it was 1-5-4-1. Anyway, we'll go over that more later. I just like playing those four chords together. Oh, and then there's the other variation. We're doing the same thing with D. Go from D, D major 7, D6, D sustain 4. That one sounds similar but different. This one actually sounds more like a song from the 50s. There we go. And yeah, it's supposed to be that 1-4-5-1 chord pattern, but it's just different voicing, and I'll have to look into that more later to figure out how does that make sense. But it sure sounds good. And that's really all what music theory is what exactly sounds good, and then trying to understand why does it sound good. And sometimes there is no explaining why something sounds good. It just does. And that is the gist of it. So we've been streaming for an hour and a half, which is about right. I'll probably be doing it that long, but maybe earlier than night, than this late at night or in the morning, what have you. I know maybe some of y'all in England are watching this in the morning, or if you're in Australia, it's getting early evening. But all y'all on the next day, we're on the same day now. Yeah, it's after midnight. Anyway, just England's ahead, and Australia's even further ahead. About 14 hours ahead, and England is what, 6 hours? I hadn't looked at the time zones in a while, or flown across the pond in a while. But I do stay up late enough streaming where a lot of times I do end up talking to some Brits or who are, getting ready for work or school or whatnot. Or maybe people in Australia who are, it's early in the evening and they're already bored. But hopefully on the weekends, at the very least, I'll be doing this during daylight hours. That's it's the only time I can be in here and not be bothering anybody else, because this is a office building that I'm in. So it's great for times like right now. There's really nobody else here except for, I think, one guy hangs out. I think it might even be the building owner. He seems to hang out, I think, in the room next door now. Maybe he got the idea of me where you can use an office as a hangout for yourself. I mean, I'm afraid if I had visitors too often, that could become an issue. I don't know. Probably doesn't matter. As long as I'm having parties. I'm not sleeping in the night. I'm just here as if I am sleeping, because I'll be here sometimes till 5, 6 a.m. trying to fix that habit. But what I need is a job that doesn't make me work until midnight. That is the problem. I work 5 days a week, 4 p.m. until, like today it was almost 12:45 a.m. when I finally got out of there. And then for me, it's tough to go straight home and go to bed. So I come in here and play with the guitar, which is like I said, this is the only time where I'm really not bothering anybody here. If I'm here before 4 p.m. before I go to work, I'm bothering somebody, unless I get a electric guitar eventually, and maybe that'll make less noise than this acoustic. Yeah, maybe. Or I can get myself a different job. or maybe I can get off about like 5 or 6 o'clock and get over here as soon as possible, because then there's nobody in the building, and I can do this at normal time, maybe even prime time. Maybe a little bit on the later side. Who knows? Maybe I have to be at work at noon. I get off at 8. Yeah. We'll see what happens. I got to start taking the time to apply. And we're now at the end, so you don't need to see the piano. I can even push that out of the way. Now you just see my streaming gaming setup. In fact, I do have that one camera. I can also just, for now, move it out of the way and say thank you for watching. I guess it's up there. Yes, all my social media is Mr. Live Ocean, or at Mr. Live Ocean. You can find me on Reddit. You can find me on X. I have Instagram. I haven't really been using it, but I need to get into the habit of using everything. Same thing with Facebook and YouTube. It's not under Mr. Live Ocean. It's the only one that I believe. Oh, the Twitbot got through. That one is Stark Naked Music, because I'm talking about this channel, whereas it's Mr. Live Ocean if I'm on Twitch for the gaming, but for here, Stark Naked Music, unless it's kicked, then it's Stark Naked Music Theory, because I have to wait another 2 months to change Twitch, because I really wanted to throw a theory in there, just so that I'm not confused with the band Stark Naked, just in case, you want to complain. I'm not calling it Stark Naked or Stark Naked Music. It's Stark Naked Music Theory. Can we agree on that? It's just music theory, naked, stark naked. Anyway, I don't know if I'll make like an Instagram for Stark Naked Music. Maybe. Just didn't want to make too many social media accounts. I just wanted different channels, just so that if I'm doing one of these streams, I'm not annoying people who would rather just catch me when I'm gaming. But it's gonna be tougher to like build a following over 2 or 3 channels, because unless someone follows each one, yeah, just makes it more difficult. But like I said, try to be a little less annoying this way. Hopefully, this is entertaining in some degree. And hopefully, I'll remember to download the first 12 minutes of this, just in case I need it for something. And yeah, please follow me, like me on those social media accounts I was just talking about. Kick, X, Twitch, both accounts, maybe. And yeah, hope you all have a good night. And as I always say on my other streams, stay frosty. Now bear with me. It's a few steps I have to do to get everything to stop streaming. It's not just hit one button and it all stops.